What if I told you that in the next 24 hours, the sky above your head is going to do something it has not done in your entire lifetime, and will not do again until the year 2045? And most of the people reading the news today have absolutely no idea it is coming. They are going to sleep through it. They are going to miss the one night the universe finally decided to show off. Before I take you deeper into this, do me one small favor. If you love the sky, if you love learning things most people never bother to find out, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with one friend who still looks up at night. That single click helps more than you think, and it keeps videos like this one alive. Now let us get into it, because tonight is not a normal night. Tonight, 3 separate cosmic events are lining up on the same date, in the same window of hours, over the same sky. And a fourth one? The strangest one of all is happening in broad daylight on the very same day. This is not a coincidence. This is geometry. The universe runs on clockwork, and once in a great while, several of those clocks strike the same hour. That hour is now. To understand why this date is so special, you need to understand one quiet character in the story: the moon. The moon is beautiful, but for people who chase the night sky, the moon is also the enemy. A full moon can wipe out almost every faint star in the sky. Even a half moon lifts the background glow of the night enough to hide meteors, mute the Milky Way, and flatten the depth of the stars into a shallow gray wash. Serious skywatchers do not really plan their nights around events. They plan around the moon. And there is only one phase in the whole month where the moon disappears completely from the night sky. That phase is called the new moon. During a new moon, our little companion is sitting directly between the Earth and the sun, lost in daylight, giving nothing at all to the night. And today, at 1737 Universal Time, the moon becomes exactly new. Now hold that thought for a second, because this is where everything begins to click together. The Perseid meteor shower reaches its peak within a day of that exact moment. The bright, glowing core of our own galaxy is riding high in a completely dark sky at this same time of year. And just before sunrise, 6 different planets are quietly lining up across the horizon. Any one of these events on its own would be worth going outside for. But normally moonlight ruins at least one of them, sometimes 2. This year, the moon steps aside for every single one of them in the same window of hours. And because the moon is so precisely, so geometrically new today, it does one more thing. It slides directly in front of the sun in the afternoon, dropping a shadow across the top of our planet. That shadow is a total solar eclipse. So the eclipse and the dark sky are not 2 separate coincidences. They are the same event, the same alignment, just seen 12 hours apart, and a new moon will not fall on August 12th again for another 19 years. Let us start with the part almost anyone on Earth can enjoy. No telescope, no travel, no plan. The meteors. Every August, our planet plows through a long invisible river of dust left behind by a comet with a strange name, Comet 109P Swift-Tuttle. This comet is about 16 miles wide, and the last time it swung near the sun was in 1992. The little grains it left behind are mostly the size of sand. But when Earth crashes into that stream of dust, those tiny grains hit our atmosphere at around 36 miles per second and burn up about 60 miles above your head. That fiery streak you see in the sky is not a falling star. It is a speck of comet dying in a blaze of friction. The Perseid shower stretches from mid-July all the way to late August. But the peak is short and sharp, and that peak is happening now. Under a truly dark sky with no moon in the way, the theoretical rate is around 100 meters per hour. That number sounds huge, but it assumes perfect conditions and the meteor point of origin directly overhead. In real life, from a good rural spot, you will probably see 50 to 70 meteors per hour. From a backyard in the suburbs, more like 15 to 25. That is still a shooting star every few minutes, enough to make you gasp, enough to make you forget your phone even exists. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. The Perseids are famous for something no other shower does quite as well. They produce fireballs. A fireball is a meteor so bright that it outshines Jupiter, sometimes even the planets. Some are so intense they cast a shadow on the ground for a split second. And after they streak across the sky, they often leave behind a glowing green or blue trail of ionized gas that hangs in the air for 10, 20, sometimes even 30 full seconds. Normally the moon steals these fireballs. It washes their trails out into nothing. This year, nothing does. This year, you get the real thing. If you want to see the show, look about halfway up the sky in any direction and just relax your eyes. Do not stare straight at Perseus. Your peripheral vision is much more sensitive to sudden movement than your center focus. Give yourself 20 full minutes without looking at a screen so your eyes can properly adjust to the dark, then wait. The best window is from your local midnight until the first light of dawn. That is when your side of the planet is turning directly into the debris stream. like a windshield driving into a swarm of raindrops. Now, if you are watching from Australia, South Africa, or Argentina, the news is not as generous. The Perseid radiant sits high in the northern sky, so the southern hemisphere sees fewer meteors, and only in the hours just before dawn. But do not close this video yet, because in a few minutes the southern hemisphere gets its own private prize, and it is arguably even more beautiful. Before we go there, quick pause. If you have made it this far, you are already my kind of person, the kind who does not scroll past the good stuff. Do me one favor. Drop a single emoji in the comments, a star, a moon, a rocket, anything, so I know you are here. Every comment pushes this video out to more curious minds, and this story deserves to reach them. All right, back to the sky. While you are lying on the ground waiting for meteors, turn your face toward the south. What you're going to see there is not a cloud. It is not fog. It is not a nebula. It is our own galaxy, seen from the inside. That bright textured band of light stretching across the summer sky is the disk of the Milky Way, and in August, you are looking straight into its glowing core. The center of that core is about 26,000 light years away in the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. Those dark, ragged lanes cutting through the light are not gaps or empty space. They are gigantic clouds of interstellar dust blocking the shine of billions of stars behind them. Think about that for a second. You are looking through your own galaxy, edge on, from a small blue planet on one of its outer arms. And most people alive today have never actually seen this with their own eyes. Roughly a third of humanity now lives under skies too bright to reveal it at all. Two things need to be true for the galaxy to appear. You have to be far enough from city lights, and the moon has to be gone. Tonight, the moon is gone for free. Timing is important here. The core of the Milky Way is already climbing into view as soon as twilight ends. Around mid-evening at northern latitudes, it sits high in the south. After that, it slowly drops. So this part of the show is best early, right when the last color of sunset drains out of the sky. Then, once the core starts sinking, you shift your attention upward for the meteors. If you happen to be somewhere in the southern hemisphere, the core rides almost directly overhead. This is exactly why so many of the world's most jaw-dropping Milky Way photographs come from Chile, Namibia, and New Zealand. From down there, the galaxy is not something you notice. It is something that fills the entire sky. There's a deadline attached to this too, and most people do not know it. Tonight is basically the last new moon of the year that catches the galactic core high in a dark sky right after twilight from the northern half of the world. By September, the core is already low and setting early. By October, it is essentially gone until next spring. So if you have ever thought, one day I will finally see the Milky Way with my own eyes, tonight is not just a good night. It is one of the last real chances of the year. Stay outside a little longer, though. Do not head home when the meteors start slowing down, because the third act of this night is the strangest one of all. In the 90 minutes before sunrise, if you look east, 6 planets will be stretched across the sky at the same time. 6. From the southwest all the way down to the eastern horizon, the line runs Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter. It sounds almost impossible when you say it out loud, but it is real and it is happening tonight. Let me set your expectations correctly, because I do not want you to feel disappointed. Not all 6 of them are visible to your naked eye. 4 of them are. 2 are not. Saturn is the easy one. It sits high in the south, glowing with that unmistakable pale yellow light. It does not twinkle the way stars do. It shines steady, calm, ancient. Mars is lower in the east, sliding through the stars of Taurus and heading toward Gemini as the month rolls on. Mars looks a little dim right now, and there is a reason for that. It will not reach its brightest position, called opposition, until February 19th, 2027. So think of tonight as an early glimpse. It gets bolder and redder from here. Uranus needs binoculars, Neptune needs a telescope. But the real challenge, the part that separates casual sky watchers from the truly determined, is the bottom of the line. Mercury and Jupiter. Both sit very low, close to where the sun is about to rise. The window where both are above the horizon, and the sky is still dark enough to see them is painfully short. In most cities, you get less than 30 minutes. You need a flat, wide, open eastern horizon. No trees, no hills, no buildings blocking the view, and you need to be out there earlier than you think you should be. Each of those 2 planets is doing something interesting right now. Mercury reached its widest apparent distance from the sun in the morning sky at the start of August. Now it is beginning to slide back toward the sport into the sun, heading for something called superior conjunction on August 27th, when it will disappear behind the sun completely. So Mercury is on its way out. Jupiter is doing the exact opposite. Jupiter just came out from behind the sun in late July, and it is now climbing back into view, starting a brand new appearance that will carry it through the rest of the year. Because one planet is falling and the other is rising, their paths are about to cross. On the morning of August 15th, just 3 days. From now, Mercury and Jupiter will pass extremely close together, low in the east before sunrise. Both are shining near magnitude -1, which is bright, and they will look almost like a double star hanging just above the horizon. It is a difficult catch through the twilight glow, but if you have a clear view of the east, it will be the most beautiful thing in the sky that morning. You might notice one big name missing from the line: Venus. Venus is not in the parade this morning, but do not feel sorry for it, because Venus is having one of the best months of its year. It is on the opposite side of the sky, blazing in. The evening. On August 15th, Venus reaches something called its greatest eastern elongation, which just means it is at its farthest apparent distance from the sun in the evening sky. That night, Venus will be shining at nearly magnitude -4.4. Nothing else in the west even comes close to it. And then the moon comes back for a small, beautiful 3-night performance. On the evening of August 15th, a thin crescent moon will hang just below Venus with a soft glow called earthshine lighting the dark side of the crescent. That glow is sunlight bouncing off Earth's oceans and clouds and softly illuminating the shadowed part of the moon. On the evening of the 16th, the moon slides right between Venus and Spica, the brightest star of the constellation Virgo. On the 17th, it drifts past Spica and moves on. 3 evenings, 3 snapshots. But if you watch all 3, you are not just looking at pictures. You are watching motion. You are watching the machinery of the solar system tick forward in real time with your own eyes. And that leads me to a small but important thought. 1 glance at the sky tells you where the moon is. 3 glances tell you where it is going. 1 data point is a position. It is not information. You cannot understand movement, direction, or truth until you have more than 1 point of view. That is true for the sky. It is even more true for the world you live in. Most of us only see a narrow slice of reality every day, shaped by the region we live in, the outlets we follow, and the algorithm we scroll through. And when it comes to science stories especially, the picture is often even more distorted than we realize. Space discoveries get twisted into clickbait. Real progress gets buried under hype. Small findings get inflated, big findings get flattened. To see the real picture of any story, especially in science, you need more than 1 lens. You need to compare. You need to check. You need to think. And that habit, more than anything else, is what separates people who understand the world from people who just react to it. Now let us come back down to Earth, because we still have to talk about the eclipse itself. This is the part of the day that only some of the planet gets to witness in full, and it is worth understanding even if you are nowhere near the path. During the day today, the moon's shadow first touches Earth over the Arctic. From there, it races past the top of the world, sweeps across Greenland and Iceland, and then curves southeast to make final landfall in northern Spain right around sunset. For Reykjavík, the capital of Iceland, this is the first total solar eclipse to darken the city since the year 1433. Think about that. The last time this happened over Reykjavík, Europe had not even entered the Renaissance yet. For Spain, this is the first total solar eclipse in over 100 years. To actually see the total phase, the moment where the sun disappears entirely behind the moon, you have to be inside a narrow strip called the path of totality. Outside of that strip, you see something called a partial eclipse instead, where the moon covers only a part of the sun. The closer you are to the center of the path, the bigger the bite the moon takes. The path today begins at sunrise over Arctic Siberia. It curves across the Arctic Ocean near the North Pole and comes down over eastern Greenland. Then it crosses western Iceland. Reykjavík itself gets about a minute of total darkness. From Iceland, the shadow flies across the Atlantic and finally makes landfall in northern and eastern Spain in the early evening. Cities like Bilbao, Zaragoza, Valencia, and the beautiful island of Majorca are all inside the path. But here is a heartbreaking twist. Madrid and Barcelona, 2 of the most famous cities in Spain, sit just barely outside the edge. They will see the sun 99.9% covered, but they will not see totality, and 99.9% is not close enough. That last 0.1% is the difference between watching an eclipse and being inside one. Even if you are far from that path, most of Europe still sees a deep partial eclipse. Across the United Kingdom and Ireland, the eclipse hangs low in the evening sky and covers around 90% of the sun or more. London, Manchester, and Glasgow all see roughly 91%. Cardiff, about 92%, Belfast, around 93%, and Dublin close to 94%, all near 7 in the evening local time. Across the rest of Europe, Paris gets about 92%, Lisbon around 94%, Brussels about 90, and Berlin near 85. Most of these happen close to sunset, which will make the entire sky glow with an eerie orange unfinished light. For North America, this is an afternoon event, and no part of the continent gets totality. The eastern edge of Canada gets the most. St. John's in Newfoundland reaches about 53%, Halifax around 31%, Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto see roughly 8 to 18% in the early afternoon Eastern Time. In the United States, the deepest coverage happens in far northern Maine, up to about 28%. With Boston near 16, Burlington around 17, New York City close to 9, Philadelphia about 7, and Washington around 4, all peaking near 150 in the afternoon Eastern Time. Alaska catches its own smaller version in the morning, with Anchorage reaching about 28%. Wherever you are, if any part of the sun is still visible, please keep your eclipse glasses on the entire time. Not for one moment do you look up without protection. A partial eclipse can hurt your eyes just as badly as a normal sun, sometimes worse, because the darkened surroundings make your pupils open wider. Never ever gamble with your vision. All right, let us take a small breath here, because we still have one final act coming, and it is a big one. If tonight is the night the universe puts everything on the table, then somewhere around 2 weeks from now, it comes back for an encore. So before we get to it, quick check-in. If you are still with me and you feel that quiet excitement building the way I do when I talk about this stuff, comment the word sky under this video. Just that one word. It tells me who is really watching, and it tells the algorithm that this story is landing with the right minds. Now let me tell you what happens 2 weeks from tonight, because eclipses almost never come alone. Eclipses come in pairs, and sometimes in triplets. The alignment that lets a new moon perfectly cover the sun does not vanish in one day. It stays close for about a month. So the next full moon, which arrives roughly 2 weeks after today, walks straight into the opposite side of that alignment. It walks straight into Earth's shadow. On the night of August 27th into 28, a deep partial lunar eclipse will take place. At its maximum, 93% of the moon's diameter will be inside our planet's shadow. The moon will pass just north of the darkest part of the shadow, so the southern half of it will plunge into a deep coppery red, while a thin sliver along the northern edge stays bright, still in direct sunlight the whole time. It will look like the moon is caught between two worlds, half of it dipped in blood, half of it still glowing pale white. Geography decides who gets to see it. The Americas get the front row seat because the moon will be high in the sky throughout the eclipse. For North America, the show plays out on the evening of Thursday, August 27th, with the maximum happening just after midnight Eastern Time. Western Europe and Western Africa catch it too, but only in glimpses, with the moon setting in the middle of it. Most of Asia, including India and all of Australia, will miss it completely, because the moon is below their horizon the entire time. Which brings us back to the plan. If you are anywhere in the world with a clear sky tonight, this is what you do. Pick your spot now, not later. Pick somewhere away from city lights, a field, a hill, a quiet stretch of road, any place where the artificial glow of humanity is small and the natural glow of the universe is large. Go outside at dusk, right as the last colors drain from the sky. Look south and let the Milky Way rise into your eyes. Stay through the small hours of the night for the Perseid meteors, and give yourself time to see the fireballs. Then hold on a little longer. Push through that sleepy pull at 3 in the morning, because just before dawn, 6 planets will unroll across the horizon like a string of quiet pearls. Then set your alarms. For the mornings of the 15th, when Mercury and Jupiter meet. For the evenings of the 15th, 16th, and 17th, when the crescent moon dances with Venus and Spica. And for the night of the 27th, going into the 28th, when the full moon steps into Earth's shadow and paints itself red. This is the sky handing you everything it has, all in a single stretch of days, and the only thing it asks of you in return is that you go outside. Look up, be present, let your phone stay in your pocket for once. Let your eyes remember what they were built for. Let your children see something they will still talk about when they are old. This is not just astronomy. This is a reminder that you live on a small world, spinning through a much larger one, and that every so often the machinery lines up in a way that makes it impossible to ignore. Most nights, the universe whispers. Tonight, it is shouting. And the strangest, most beautiful part of all of this is that it will happen whether we watch or not. The moon will cross the sun. The comet dust will burn. The galaxy will rise. The planets will line up. The Earth will keep turning. The universe will do its work in perfect, quiet obedience to laws older than we can imagine. The only real question is whether we bother to be there to witness it. In a life that will be filled with a million forgettable evenings, tonight is one of the ones you get to keep. So tell me, in the comments where you are watching from, what time you plan to step outside and which part of this cosmic lineup excites you the most. The totality, the partial eclipse, the Perseid meteors, the six-planet parade, or the blood red moon coming in 2 weeks. And if you have ever stood beneath a total solar eclipse before, tell us what it actually felt like in the moment when the sun disappeared, because words from someone who has lived it are worth more than any documentary. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for still being one of the people who looks up. If this story moved you even a little, share it with someone you love, someone who has forgotten to look up in a while. Send them outside tonight, give them the sky, because these events do not come again for a very long time. And the memory of standing under one of them, quiet, small, and awake, is one of the few things in this loud, restless life that no one can ever take away from you. Look up. Tonight is the night.